Are you tired of clunky weapon transitions? Let's fix that with MotionMatch Choosers. In this video, we'll start by downloading and implementing the Lyra Project animations. Next, we'll create the blueprint and motion match assets. And then finally, we'll dive deeper into the chooser tables and align the animations. I hope you're ready, so let's go ahead and begin. Okay, so to start out with today's project, we're going to go ahead and go to the store, go to browse, and then just type in Lyra in the search, and then from there you can get this free Lyra pack, and we're going to extract those animations quickly. Alright, I'll see you in the Lyra project. Okay, great. Now that we're in the Lyra project, we're going to go to the content folder, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a folder. Okay, we're going to right click, new folder, and in all caps we're going to type in Lyra and then underscore assets. Okay, so now that we've done that, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our characters folder. We're going to go into heroes. We're going to go into the regular mannequin folder, not the UE4 one. We're going to go to animations. And right here, we're going to double click right here in locomotions. We're going to select this folder to where we see all of these. We're going to go to here to the filter, and we're going to pick the animation sequences. Like so. All right, so we're going to select one of these here. Hit Control A to select everything. We're going to go over here to the side, and we're going to scroll down until we can find that folder we made, which is this Lyra Assets. We're going to left click and drag and move it to the Lyra Assets and release. And then we're going to select move here. I'm sorry, copy here. Okay, so we're going to go back to the content folder and verify that we've got all of them. So we can clear the filter right here. Go back to the Lyra folder, and you can see we've got all of them here. Just do a Control Shift S. Okay, great. Now we're going to go back out to the content folder, and that's all we're going to need for this. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click on the Lyra assets, and then we're going to do a migrate. And what we're going to do is we're going to migrate this into a new project. So you want to make sure that you've already created a project that you're going to migrate to. So we're going to uncheck this characters here, and we're going to scroll down because we're going to uncheck. We're only going to take the Lyra assets folder we just created. So we don't need this effects folder either. And right here, that should be all we need right here, this Lyra assets. And if you look, it's grabbed all the animations that we'll need. All right, select OK, and then we're going to move this into our actual project content folder. Okay, so as you can see right here, I've got it under my own folder here. That's just my projects. We're going to select the content folder right here, and then we're going to select that and just hit OK. Hit the select. Okay, now that that's complete, I'll see you over into your project. Okay, so now that we're in our project, we're going to open up the content folder, and you see our Lyra project. It's right here. So we can just Lyra assets. We can double click into that, and what we're going to do is left click, and we're going to do a Control A and select all these. And what we need to do is we need to replace the skeleton because it didn't bring it with us. So we're going to use the default Manny one. So right click on one of these and select replace skeleton. And we're going to use game, character, and mannequin meshes. So this one right here, select that and hit OK. Okay, so the skeleton's been replaced. While we're here, let's go ahead and right click again. And we're going to go into asset actions, and we're going to go into edit and property matrix. And we're just going to make sure that everything is checked. So yeah, so right here we can, yeah, this is all set. but just to make sure, you can always check it and uncheck it, and that'll save everything. And then just hit save. Close this. All right, for the next step, we're going to need to create our blueprint. So let's go to content, go back to the content folder. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into the third person, the blueprint, and we're just going to duplicate this. So do a Control D as in David, and we're going to name it BP underscore Lyra. Control Shift S, and we're going to open that up. Scroll this down here. Now we're going to have to do several things in here, but the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to have to add, well, actually, before we even go here, some things I forgot to do. We're going to need to enable the plugin. So first thing we're going to need to do is, there's three things. First, let's go to our editor preferences, and let's just change this open default location to the main window and hit save. Next, we're going to hit the edit, and we're going to go into plugins, and we're going to add our two plugins. So we're going to first add the TRAJ, which is the MotionMatch Trajectory plugin. Hit yes for that. And then we don't want to restart yet. We're going to also add the chooser. So let's go ahead and add chooser and add that and click yes. And from this point here, we can hit the restart. Okay, now that that's restarted, we can close this part out. And yes, I'm just going to have it remember the choice for the rest of this. And we can close this out. Okay, great. Now we're going to need to add some things here to the character blueprint. So first thing we're going to need to add is, okay, so we're going to need to add a crouch variable. So we're going to call this crouch, or crouching, and then question mark. Then we're also going to need to, so we're going to grab something, we're going to grab the C key for that. C key. And we're going to hold down the Alt key, and we're going to just drag in two quick Alt, hold, and yeah, we're going to set the actual variable. We're going to use a flip-flop in this class for this one. Like so. Now, that's going to allow us to switch to our crouch, and you want to check that for true. And then we're going to need to do another one, because we're going to do a rifle animation. So we're going to switch between unarmed and rifle. So we're going to do an R key for that. Okay, and for this R key, I'm gonna create another variable, but before we do, we're gonna create an enum so we can switch between our different classes. You can do a Control Shift S to save that. Now, what we're gonna do we're gonna actually have to make several things here. So let's go ahead. We can hit compile and save. We're gonna leave this up, but we're gonna need to actually make our MotionMatch stuff. So let's go into our Lyra assets folder. Double click that, and we're going to scroll, and we're going to create a new folder in here. Let's see. Yeah, right click, and we're going to do a new folder. It's going to be called MotionMatch. And then we're going to double click in here. So to start out with, we're going to need to create all of our MotionMatch stuff right now, so that way we can add into the blueprint. So to start out with, we're going to start with our three assets inside the MotionMatch system. So animations, MotionMatch, post search schema. We're going to use this one right here, which is the regular Manny. Type in PSS underscore and then Lyra. And then we're going to right click and we're going to do that again. And we're going to create each one of these assets. Post search normalization set. So P, S, and S underscore Lyra. And then we're going to need the post search database. Now we're going to call this PSD underscore unarmed walk. Control Shift S. And what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this. So let's just go ahead and duplicate this 3 more times. So Control D, enter, Control D, enter, Control D, enter. Okay. Now, for each one of these here, we're going to change this. So this one here, we're going to highlight it and then do F2, and we're going to rename it. We're going to call this one jog. Okay, so we've got our jog. Next, for the post search database, we're going to need our so you got walk, jog. Now we're going to need our crouch. Just type in crouch. And then finally, we're going to need our jump. Okay, now with those same ones, we're going to make 4 more. So we're going to highlight this here, and we're going to use all 4 of these, and we're going to duplicate them. Okay, so Control D. So the way I did that was I did a left click here and I hold down Shift and left click here. So now we're going to do a Control D. And then for these, we're going to name all these to rifle and remove the word unarmed and also the 1 at the end. So let's just go ahead and do that. Okay, next we're going to need to create an animation blueprint. So we're going to right click, go to animations, animation blueprint, and we're going to use the same skeleton. Click create, and we're going to name this ABP underscore Lyra. Control Shift S. And then what we're going to do is we're going to also make something called a enum. Okay. So that will be under, let's see, right here, let's see, blueprint. And then under here, under enumeration, we're going to use that. And we're just going to name it E underscore, and we're going to call this weapon state. Control Shift S. Now we're going to go ahead and open that up. And this is a really simple one. So in this enumeration, we're going to add 3 of them. Okay, so the first one, we're going to name it unarmed. For the next one, we're going to name it rifle. And then for the next one, we're going to name it pistol. Now, just to save time, I'm not going to make the pistol animations, but I'm going to show you how to implement it yourself. And that's why I've added this here. So we're going to do a Control Shift S to save that. And that's all we need for that. We can close this enumeration tab. And we're going to need to make the enumeration. Okay, let's see here. Now, while we're going to go back to our blueprint. And what we're going to do is we're going to create another variable. And we're going to call this weapon stance. And we're going to change this from Boolean to our E underscore weapon state. That's the enum we just created, okay? Now, we're going to take this, do a control and left click, and we're going to, well, actually, I said that wrong. We're going to hold down the Alt button and then left click and drag this onto the graph twice, okay? And then we're going to take this flip flop, we're going to highlight it and do a Control D with our mouse hovered down here to duplicate that. And then what we're going to do here is we're just going to plug this into the flip flop. And then what we're going to do is we're going to hook these up. And then for this one here, this top one, we're gonna make this rifle and leave this bottom one to unarmed. And we're gonna do a compile and a save. Now, what we want to do is we want to select this weapon stance here and make sure the default is unarmed. Okay, as you can see, we could choose any one of these, but our default will be unarmed. So when the game starts, you'll start out in unarmed mode. So we'll compile and save. Okay, now we're going to set up a couple more things here inside this blueprint. So we're going to do a movement. We're going to grab the character movement, and we're going to set the max walk speed. And right here, you just want to highlight this and then Control D. Make sure we have 2 spots for that. And then for the walk speed, we're going to make it to where we're moving at 600 and making the walk speed 300. And what we want to do here is we're going to right click over here and we're going to use a left shift to allow us to run. So we'll hold down the left shift button to allow us to run. And that'll put us at the 600 movement speed. And when we release it back to our walk speed of 300. Okay. Compile. Oh, almost forgot. You got to hook up. You got to target the movement. So compile and save. Now, back over here to our movement, we're going to select this. And then right here, we're going to do a walk speed again. And we're going to right click on this crouching speed. And we're going to copy this. And then we're going to paste it into the walking max speed. And the reason for this is we're going to have our character start the game by walking at 500 instead of the 600. Compile and save. Okay, just clean this up a little bit. Now, there's one other thing I'm going to add here, and it's going to deal with the movement again. So we're going to drag the movement back out here again. And what we're going to do is we're going to do something called orientate. Let's see, orientate. We're going to set the orientation, and we're going to check this to true right here. We're going to duplicate it, or actually we can uncheck this down here. So when we first hit it, it'll be true up there, down here. And then, yeah, we're going to need to do another right click. We're going to do another flip flop. And we're going to hook these up. And then we're going to use the middle mouse button to activate that. And that's just going to allow us to either do our turning or our strafing, so I can help better demonstrate on how this all works. Okay. Now, we're going to need to add our trajectory to this component, to our character. So just type in TRAJ and add the trajectory component and hit enter. Do a compile and a save. Now, we also need to go, we're going to X out of that part here. We're going to select our character's mesh, and we're going to change this to our animation blueprint. So we're going to highlight the animation blueprint and then go over here. And because our animation blueprint's highlighted and we can hit this arrow, it'll populate it with our new animation blueprint. Compile and save. And that should be all we need for now as far as for the character blueprint. So We can close out of this. Okay. Hey guys, quick interruption. So for this part here, I know it's kind of daunting, but we're going to be going between the animation blueprint, the chooser node, and we're going to set up animations. They're going to look a lot like this when we get done, between the unarmed and the rifle. Okay, back to the video. Okay, so right here, we're going to, as we go back to our content folder in our MotionMatch, we're going to need to fix our populate our Lyra here, our animation blueprint. So let's do that. All right, and we're going to start off in the event graph. So right here, we're going to drag this up. Okay, we're going to open this up a little bit, scroll back a bit. Okay, so we're going to need to get something. We're going to type in INI and then blue, and that's going to give our initialization. So we're going to need to cast to BP Lyra for our character blueprint. We're going to need a reference by dragging off of here and promoting this variable. And then down here, we're just going to drag it onto the graph. And then we're going to get, first we're going to get the character movement. So get the character movement first. We're going to promote that to a variable. Connect it up. Then we're going to get the trajectory. And we're going to promote that as well. And then off of the movement, we're going to need to do an is falling. And we're going to promote this variable. And we're going to type in air. And then question mark. And connect that up. All right, now we're going to grab the other variable, which is crouching. We're going to get crouching. And we're going to promote that as well. And what we're doing here basically is we're grabbing all the variables from our player character and putting them onto our animation blueprint. So whatever changes in the blueprint will change in this blueprint as well. Next, we're going to need to get our weapon stance. Drag off of here. And we're going to promote that as well. And that'll give us our stance switching. And then, oh, I forgot. So actually, we're going to have to add one more variable to the player character. We can compile and save real quick. But we're going to have to open up the character blueprint again because I forgot something. So we're going to go to our content folder, third person, blueprint, and then our Lyra blueprint. Now, we're going to also need to make a variable for the speed. So we're going to add this variable here, and we're going to type in move speed. And for this variable, we're going to change this into a float. And what we're going to do is we're going to hold down the Alt key, and we're going to drag it and put it right next to, we're going to grab two of them. And for the move speed, we're just going to connect these up. Execution to execution. And we want to have this value, which this 300 is going to transfer into this move speed. Same thing with the 600. And we're going to do a compile and save. Now we can close this, the blueprint, and we're in our animation blueprint. And now because we made that variable, we can drag off of here, and we can type in move speed. So we're going to get the move speed, and we're going to promote that to a variable. And then we can connect that up. Now, all these different booleans, this enum, and this weapon, this speed here, will actually dictate and change and make changes to our different states to make our animations activate. So we can hit compile and save. Okay, now we can switch over to the anim graph. Now, before we do anything here, we're going to need to actually create the actual chooser table first. So let's go do that. So we go here, we can go to our content. Let's keep everything neat by going back to our Lyra asset folder into the MotionMatch. What we're going to do is we're going to right click here. We're going to go under miscellaneous, and then you're going to, it's in alphabetical order. You can just grab this chooser table right here. We're going to call it CT underscore Lyra. Control Shift S. Now open it up. Okay, so right here, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to set some things up here. Let's start over here. And if this isn't showing up for you right here, this right here, you just hit this table right here. So this table settings. Now, we're going to add under input, we're going to add a plus to the plus sign here. We're going to select object class type. We're going to open this arrow here. And then we're going to select our animation blueprint, which is our Lyra. And we're going to leave the read there the same. Next, for the output, we're going to type in pose search database. This one right here. Pose search database, select that. And then we're going to do a save. Now, for the rows here on the left, we're going to have to add our different animation states. So we're going to add the row. And all of these are going to be assets. And we're going to add 4 of them to start out with. So we're going to add the assets, keep adding it. Like so. And then right here, we're going to highlight this. And we're just going to type in walk. And we're going to start with our unarmed. We're going to start with the unarmed first. Next, we're going to do jog with the unarmed. Then the crouch with the unarmed. And then finally, jump with the unarmed. Now, we're going to need to do this one more time. So let's go ahead and add these up. 4 more. And just do the same thing, but this time for the rifle. Okay, make sure we save this. And then now that should be all that needs to be done for this. So this is all set up. We need to go to our animation, our animation blueprint for Lyra. Okay, so I'm going to start here inside the anim graph, and we're going to need to add a default slot. So that way you can use your other animations. Next, we're going to do something called a pose history node. Okay. And then what we want to do here is we want to right click on the trajectory component, left click on this pen here, and use the Lyra trajectory component. Like so. And you can hook all this up. Next, we're going to need to do the MotionMatch component. So MotionMatch node, so MotionMatch. And we're going to select it. Now, what we're going to do right here is, while this is highlighted in the details panel, open this up just a little bit, we're going to need to, first, we're going to need to set up this pen here. And we want it to have a dynamic value. So that's what we're going to do for that. And then to get rid of this here, we're going to uncheck the exposed pen. So it should look like this. Next, we're going to have to do a little bit of logic, very simple logic. We're going to go up to this on update, and we're going to create a binding. Open this up, and this is basically just created another function. So first thing we're going to grab is we're going to get evaluate. We're going to get the evaluate chooser node. And we're gonna add our Lyra chooser table. And then right here, we're gonna also pull off of here, and we're gonna need the motion match converter. So motion matching, yeah, convert. And we want this green one, the pure node. We want the green one right here. Okay. Next, we're gonna need to set the search database. So we're gonna do a set search database like so. Move that out. And you can see it's automatically connecting as I drag off. Now, for the results, you just have to drag off of here, and the only one that's highlighted is the database, so we're going to select that. And then we've got these two ones right here. We're going to grab off of here, and we're going to match this to the node because that's the one that's highlighted. And then for the interrupt, we're going to change that to interrupt on database change, like so. We're going to do a compile and a save. And that should be it for this function. And if we go back here, we need to go ahead and hook this back up and do a compile save. Now, nothing's going to work right now because we still have to put our animations in the database. But so far, everything should be all set up. So now let's go ahead and move on to putting everything in the database. Okay, so we should be able to close this out. So close tabs to the right. So we're closing the blueprint and the animation stuff. So now we're going to need to look at our databases. So here's something we can do simple. Just type in PSD. And these are all of our databases. So we're going to do a left click on the first one, hold down shift and do a left click here, right click, and then we're going to do an edit. That's going to open up all the tabs. Okay, now that all of our tabs are opened up, we're going to go back to the content folder. We're going to X that out, and we're going to go to our Lyra asset folder. So we're under that. We're under the motion match. We got all of our animations. What we're going to do here is we're going to start with the jumps because it's pretty simple the way we're going to do it. So we're going to do a jump loop, okay? And we're just type unarmed. And then we've got these two animations. So what we want to do here is we're going to look for our jump. Let's see, where is it? That's our walk. Oh, here we go. Unarmed jump. So we're going to select this post search database here. Okay. And we're going to drag these two. So just, control, left click, and then drag those into there. Wait, hold on. Left click. Like so. And then hit save. And we're done with that. So we can go ahead and we can close that jump. Now we're going to need the rifle jump. We're going to highlight that. Okay, we're in a rifle jump. And instead of unarmed here, we're just typing rifle. Same thing. And we're going to put the rifle jump inside of that folder and hit save. And we can close that out as well. Next, we're going to go for the crouch. So let's type in root and then crouch. And we're going to type in, let's see, walk, I want to say. Hold on, let me see. Or we can type in crouching. Let's see, crouching. Okay, there we go, crouch. And it should be unarmed. There we go. I don't think you have to put root for this one. Let's see. No. Okay. So, yeah, crouch unarmed. Let me make sure. Can we put root? No, we don't need to put root. Okay. So we're going to grab all the crouch. So we're going to start with this one here on the left. And we're going to hold down the shift button and hit the last one here. And we're just going to drag all those in. And there's certain things here we don't need. Okay, so we don't need any of these exits and entry. We don't need those, okay? So we can go ahead and we can select them and hit delete for that. And if you hit Control A, you can see that we've got all of our animations that we need. And that should do it right there. Okay. Now that that's done, we can hit save. And we can close out of that one. Now, let's go to rifle crouch. Same thing like we did here, just type in rifle. Okay. Select the first one, hold down shift, grab all of them, drag them in. All right, and we're gonna select this entry, exit, and overdrive pose. We don't need that. We can get rid of that and then hit save. And we can close out of the rifle crouch. Next, we're going to do, see, unarmed crouch. Did we do that one? Okay, unarmed crouch. Let me see. We're going to do unarmed. Okay, I think I did something wrong here, so that's okay. We'll fix it in a second. So this unarmed crouch, we're going to put in unarmed crouch. We're going to select them all like right here. Select that, drag and drop. Get rid of the entry and the exit. And we can hit save. We don't need to do that. Now, I think the mistake I made was, if you look here, I got a jog here, but I'm missing the rifle jog. So let's go ahead and find that real quick. Go to MotionMatch and see rifle jog. Open that up. Yep. So we can go ahead and hit Control A and remove the crouches out of the rifle jog. So Control Shift S. And let's go ahead and let's add the correct animation. So let's start with, let's see, we can move this over like so. We're going to start with the walks. So let's go ahead and go back to our Lyra asset folder. And let's type in walk unarmed. Let's see, I'm unarmed. Okay, so, all right. Click on the first one, go to the last one, hold down shift, and we're just going to drag all those in. And then right here, we're just going to type in crouch real quick. Oh, see, I did it again. Hold on, let's get it out of this. Control A, delete all that. Let's go back to the unarmed walk. Make sure it's highlighted up here. And then we're going to move the unarmed walk into the correct database. And right here, we're going to type in crouch. Yeah. Select one, hit Control A, and we're going to remove all that. And that should be it. And then we can hit save. All right, let's do the rifle walk. Same thing, grab the first one, last one, drag it, drop it. And we're gonna call the crouch on this one as well, because we don't want crouch inside of our database there. And that's it. And that should cover all that one. Hit save. Then finally, we're gonna go and do our last two jogs. So we're gonna have to do, put jog in the front here. Jog, space. I guess we can do the rifle jog. It's okay. So make sure we select the rifle jog. Okay. So we're gonna grab this first one here, like we did with the other ones. Hold down the left shift, and we're gonna drag the rifle jogs into the database here. And that should be good for that. And we can hit save. Okay, so we got the rifle jog. I guess we can close that one. Next, we're going to do the unarmed jog. So right here, we just need to type in unarmed. Drag that in. Oh, forgot to close that. So, yep, and that should cover that. Let me make sure we don't have it. I don't think we have crouch. Yeah. No, we don't. So, yeah, we don't have the crouch walk. Okay, so that should cover that. We're going to hit save. And then we've got our walk here. And that should be all. That should be everything we need as far as our animations for our databases. But we're going to have to X out of that, go back to our Lyra project, go to the top, and we're going to need to populate the Lyra so we can tell our animations on how to switch. Okay, so to start out, we're going to need to do two bools. So we're going to do a bool here, we're going to do a bool here, and then we're going to do an enum here. So we got enum, and then we're going to go ahead and start this out. We're going to start with this part first before we go into our actual movement one. So, all right. So for the first one, we're going to do an in air one. So click on that, and then we're going to select the in air for the Boolean, and then we're going to select under the Lyra animation. We're going to also select the crouch. Okay. So now anything that you want it used on. So for instance, this right here is for walking. So for walking, we're not in the air, so we're going to set that as false. Okay, so the only time that we're going to use this Boolean is when we're in the air. And that's only for our jumps. So we're going to say true for this one, for this jump here, and then another true for this jump. Okay, and we're going to continue with that. So the rest of these should be false, because unless you're jumping, you're not in the air. Okay, same thing for the crouching. You're either crouching or you're not. So you do that. We're going to do true for the crouching in the two spots here. So there's crouching right here. And then for the rest of these, we're going to make them false. Okay. Now, for this enum here, we want to say what state we're in. So we're going to do the weapon stance. And for the first four, we're unarmed. And then for the last four, we're rifle. Now, we don't have any pistol animations, or we haven't set it up, but because in this tutorial, just to keep it short, otherwise this tutorial will be, it's already really long, and I don't want it any longer. So this is just to show you that you could actually switch it to a pistol state here. Okay. Now, we're going to need to add the movement speed. So to do that, that's going to be a float range, and we're going to select the Lyra move speed. That was the other one we made. So for the walk, you always want it to be 0, and then the max walks before it leaves is going to be 300. And that's going to lead us into the jog. So we're going to put that at 301. And we're going to just go ahead and use a generic value like 1,000. I mean, really, we know we're only going up to 600, but we just put a longer generic value here. All right. So continuing on, we're going to need to, for all the rest of these, we're going to need to populate it as well. So while we're here, we're going to, for the crouch, we can still put that at 0, because 0 is like idle. And then we can add 1,000 here. Okay, for the jump, we're going to say you have to at least be moving by 1, and we're going to say 1,000. See, for the rifle walk, we're going to do it the same exact thing, where the max walk is going to be 300. And then when we do the jog, we're going to put it at 301 to start. That's when it'll switch over. And then move that to 1,000 over here. And then for the crouch, we're going to just, yeah, you can do 0, and we can do 1,000. And then for the final rifle jump, we can do 1, of course, here. And then, oh, wait, 1. And then we can do 1,000. Enter. Okay, so now let's see. Let's go back to our area here. And what we want to do here is we want to go to the world settings, and we want to change the default class to our Lyra, so that way we're not using the third person one, the default one. We're going to hit save. And then right here, you see down here at the bottom, it's to unsave. We're just going to do a Control-Shift-S, and that'll take care of that. Okay, let's go and test this out. Okay, we got our walk. If we hold down Shift, we got our run. If we hit R, we got our R and our walk. And we hold down Shift, we got our run. And then we also, let's see, we can also hit the C button for our crouch. Now, I know these aren't perfect, but I'm just giving you a basic foundation on how to set up choosers in MotionMatch. And let's see, and then finally, let's see, did we test everything? Oh, yeah, so what we want to see is we want to hit that middle mouse button for the orientation. And what'll happen is, let's see, yeah, that'll give us a side strife. So we can hit the R, hit R again, hit C, and that gives us that strife, okay? If we hit the middle mouse button again, then we're just gonna turn, okay? So shift for the run, R, and then, like I said, if we're walking normal, we're walking normal. All right, well, that concludes it for today's video. I hope you found this very helpful with the chooser video. Oh, before I forget, let me hit the escape real quick. There was something else I wanted to show you. Okay, this is why my videos are long. Okay, but I think you'll find this valuable. Okay, so if we go to our blueprint in the third person, okay, to the Lyra blueprint, what we can do is, like right here, you could technically, if you wanted to do like a third weapon, what you could do is instead of using this flip-flop, like we could delete this flip-flop here, right? And we could hook this up here. We can do a Control D here, okay? And we could hook this up. And I'm just gonna do a control here, right? So if you hit Control R, you're gonna go to the unarmed state. If you hit R, you're gonna go to the rifle state instead of flip-flopping. Now, you could duplicate this, Control D, and you could change this to a pistol. And then you could actually add a, like, say that you can make this 1, 2, and 3, and that would flip through the states as well. So if you do a compile and a save, what it should happen is when we hit play, if I hit R, we still got that. But in order to go back, I have to hold down Shift and hit R, and that should send me back. Let's see, or did it? Oh, I'm sorry. Control R, like so. And then that will give you a switch between states. So you could add a third state or 4 states. So if you wanted to have a gun, a bow, or whatever, you could actually sift through the different ones by merely just setting that enum. And you just keep adding more to the enum. Again, I hope this little tidbit I just gave you was valuable. And again, I'm so sorry for this long video, but I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.